"Wrong carriage," she gasped. The words barely left her lips before the door slammed shut behind her with a heavy, final thud. The sudden darkness inside the carriage felt suffocating, broken only by the dim glow of a swinging lantern. Rain hammered against the roof, each drop echoing like a warning. The carriage jolted forward, wheels grinding against wet stone, and she stumbled, clutching the velvet seat to keep from falling. Her heart raced violently. This was not her carriage. She had been certain when she stepped in. The station had been crowded, chaos wrapped in mist and rain, porters shouting, horses snorting impatiently. She had been distracted, anxious to leave London before dawn, desperate to escape the memories that clung to every street. One careless step, one wrong door. Now she was trapped. She turned toward the door and reached for the handle, panic tightening her chest. Before her fingers could touch the brass, a gloved hand moved with calm precision. A sharp metallic click echoed through the carriage. The lock. She froze. Slowly, she turned around. A man stood opposite her, tall enough that the carriage ceiling felt lower because of him. Broad shoulders filled his dark coat, rainwater dripping from the edges. His shirt was open at the collar, as though he had not bothered with formality. His face was carved with sharp lines, controlled and unreadable, but his eyes, those eyes, were steady, intense, and fixed entirely on her. "Right one," he said quietly. Her breath caught. She knew him. Every woman in London knew him, whether they had seen him or not. His name carried weight in Parliament, fear in business halls, and scandal in whispered conversations behind gloved hands. The Duke of Ravensshire. Her pulse thundered in her ears. "You have made a mistake," she said, forcing her voice to remain steady despite the terror creeping into it. "This is not my carriage." "No," he replied calmly. The carriage swayed as it turned onto another street, the motion bringing him one step closer. "You are exactly where you were meant to be." Anger flared, sharp and sudden, cutting through the fear. "Unlock the door." Now. He did not move. Rain traced dark paths down the window beside him, lightning briefly illuminating his face. In that flash, she saw something beneath his control, fatigue, perhaps, or something heavier. "Sit," he said. "I will not," she snapped. Another step. The air between them tightened. "You should," he said, voice low. "For your own safety." "From you," she challenged. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "From what is coming?" She hesitated. Every instinct screamed at her to resist, to scream, to pound on the walls. But the carriage was already moving fast, far from the station. And there was something unnervingly composed about him, something that suggested violence would not be loud or chaotic, but swift. Slowly, reluctantly, she sat. The Duke took the seat opposite her, resting one arm casually along the carriage wall. The lantern swayed, casting shadows that danced across his face, making him look almost unreal. "You should not have followed me," she said. "I did not," he replied. "You followed them." Her brow furrowed. "I don't know what you're talking about." "You were watched from the moment you left your townhouse," he said. Two men, one pretending to be a porter, the other reading a newspaper upside down. A chill slid down her spine. "That's impossible," she said. "I noticed no one." "Exactly." She swallowed. "Why tell me this?" "Because you were supposed to disappear tonight," he said bluntly. The carriage hit a pothole, jarring her. Her hand flew to her chest. "Disappear," she echoed. "That's absurd." "Is it?" he asked. "Your father thought so too." The mention of her father felt like a blade. "Do not speak of him," she said sharply. His gaze did not waver. He died believing the wrong man was responsible. Her fingers curled into the fabric of her dress. "You are responsible," she said, her voice trembling now despite her efforts. "Your investigation destroyed him." Your name was the last curse on his lips. Silence filled the carriage, thick and heavy. When the Duke finally spoke, his voice was different, lower, stripped of arrogance. "I did not kill your father." "You ruined him," she shot back. "You exposed him to ridicule, to accusations." "I exposed a network of corruption," he interrupted. "One that used your father as a shield." "Liar." "If I were lying," he said evenly, you would already be dead." The words settled coldly between them. She stared at him, searching his face for mockery, cruelty, anything that would confirm her hatred. Instead, she found something far more unsettling: sincerity. "Then why trap me like this?" she demanded. "Why not come openly?" "Because you would never listen," he said, "and because they are closer than you think." The carriage slowed slightly, then turned sharply. Her heart leapt. "Where are you taking me?" she asked. "Somewhere safe," he replied. "For now. And after that?" "That," he said, meeting her gaze fully, "depends on whether you choose to survive." Lightning flashed again, illuminating the space between them. For the first time since stepping into the wrong carriage, she realized something terrifying. This was no abduction. It was a rescue she never asked for. And whatever truth the Duke of Ravensshire was hiding, it was powerful enough to get her killed. The carriage raced on through the storm, carrying her toward a future she could no longer outrun. The carriage slowed just before dawn. The storm had softened into a steady drizzle, the rain no longer violent but persistent, as if London itself refused to let go. The wheels rolled onto a quieter road, smoother stone replacing the rough cobbles of the city. She noticed the change instantly. Fewer sounds, no shouting, no street vendors, no crowds, isolation. Her fingers tightened around the fabric of her cloak. "Where are we?" she asked. The Duke did not answer immediately. He leaned forward slightly, peering through the narrow window as the carriage came to a final stop. Only then did he look back at her. "A place that officially does not exist," he said. The door opened from the outside. Cool, damp air rushed in. A single lantern revealed a tall, iron gate already unlocked. Beyond it, a narrow drive leading to a large, shadowed house. Its windows were dark. No lights. No guards in sight. Her unease deepened. "This does not look safe," she said. "It is safer than anywhere you have been in years," he replied, stepping out first. "Come." She hesitated. "If you try to run," he added calmly, without turning, "you will be caught before you reach the gate." "Not by me." That decided it. She stepped down, boots meeting gravel. The house loomed closer with every step, its presence heavy and secretive. The Duke moved with certainty, as though he had walked this path many times before. He unlocked the front door and gestured for her to enter. Inside, warmth greeted her immediately. A fire crackled in the hearth. Candles lined the walls, already lit, casting a soft, golden glow. The house was not abandoned, just hidden. "You planned this," she said quietly. "Yes." "How long?" "Since the night your father died." The words struck her hard. "You expect me to trust you," she said, turning to face him. After saying that, "I expect you to understand," he replied. "Trust can come later." He removed his coat and hung it neatly, then poured 2 glasses of water from a decanter on a side table. He handed one to her. She stared at it suspiciously. "It's not poisoned," he said dryly. "If I wanted you dead, this would have been far simpler." She accepted the glass, but did not drink. "You said my father was used," she said. "Explain." The Duke motioned toward a chair near the fire. "Sit. This will take time." Reluctantly, she did. He remained standing, pacing slowly as he spoke, as if the truth weighed too much to remain still. "Your father was brilliant," he began. "A man of integrity in a system built on compromise. When he discovered discrepancies in shipping manifests, funds moving where they should not, he brought them to the wrong people." Her throat tightened. "He trusted the crown," the Duke continued. "They redirected him. Toward me." Her eyes snapped up. "You?" "Yes," he said, "because I was already investigating the same network. They believed I would silence him." "But you didn't," she said bitterly. "You exposed him instead." "I exposed forged evidence," he corrected. "Evidence planted to discredit him once he refused to cooperate." Her hands trembled slightly. "They wanted him ruined," he said. "When that failed, they wanted him gone." "You're saying he was murdered?" she whispered. "Yes." The fire popped loudly, making her flinch. "And you let the world believe it was suicide," she said, anger rising again. "I had no proof then," the Duke replied. "Only suspicions. An enemy's powerful enough to bury both of us if I acted too soon." Silence stretched between them. Finally, she asked, Why tell me now? Because 3 days ago, he said, someone tried to retrieve something only you could have. Her heart skipped. I have nothing. He stopped pacing and looked directly at her. Are you sure? She thought of her father's old desk. The false bottom she had discovered years ago, but never fully understood. The sealed envelope she had kept, unopened because it felt like touching a wound. Her face betrayed her. The Duke noticed immediately. You do, he said softly. And they know it. A sharp knock echoed through the house. She gasped, standing abruptly. The Duke moved instantly, one hand gripping her wrist, the other reaching beneath his coat. Stay here. The knock came again, firmer. He guided her behind a bookshelf, pressing a finger to his lips. Then he drew a pistol with quiet precision and moved toward the door. Her heart pounded so loudly, she feared it would give them away. The door opened. Report, the Duke said coolly. A man stepped inside, rain-soaked and breathing hard. They followed the wrong carriage, he said. 2 streets back. They think she escaped. The Duke exhaled slowly. Good. He closed the door and turned back to her. You see now, he said. This was not paranoia. Her knees felt weak. What do they want from me? She asked. The truth your father died protecting, he replied. And now so will you. Unless you help me finish what he started. She swallowed. What if I refuse? He met her gaze steadily. Then I will protect you anyway. But more people will die. The weight of the choice settled heavily on her shoulders. At last, she nodded. Tell me what you need. The Duke's expression shifted, not triumph, but relief. First, he said, you will rest. Tomorrow, we open the past. As she followed him down the dim corridor toward a guest room, she realized something frightening and strange. For the first time in years, she felt closer to the truth and to safety. And the Duke of Ravensshire was now the only thing standing between them. Morning came quietly. No carriage wheels, no shouting streets, only the soft crackle of a dying fire and the distant sound of rain slipping from the eaves. She woke slowly, disoriented, the unfamiliar ceiling above her reminding her that the world had shifted overnight. She sat up at once. The room was modest but comfortable. Heavy curtains blocked the windows. A small table held tea, untouched, already gone cold. Someone had been thoughtful enough not to wake her, or cautious enough. She dressed quickly, her mind racing. The Duke's words echoed relentlessly in her thoughts. They wanted him gone, something only you could have. Her fingers trembled as she tied her cloak. When she stepped into the corridor, the house felt different in daylight. Less ominous, but no less secretive. She followed the faint murmur of voices toward the study. The Duke stood near the window, sleeves rolled up, studying a stack of papers spread across the desk. He looked up when she entered. You slept, he said. Barely, she replied. You said we would open the past. Yes, he said. Sit. She did not. If you're lying to me, she said, this ends now. He nodded once. Fair. She reached into her satchel slowly, deliberately, never breaking eye contact. From beneath folded fabric, she withdrew a thick, yellowed envelope sealed with red wax. The crest stamped into it was faded, but unmistakable. Her father's. I found this years ago, she said, hidden in his desk. I never opened it. The Duke's expression tightened. Why, he asked. Because some things, she replied, feel like graves. He held out his hand, not to take it, but in silent permission. She broke the seal. Inside were documents folded carefully. Letters, account ledgers, and one small leather-bound book. Her breath caught as she scanned the first page. These are names, she whispered. Yes, the Duke said. And figures. Proof. She looked up sharply. You knew. I suspected, he corrected. I needed confirmation. She spread the papers across the desk, horror dawning with each line she read. High-ranking officials, military contracts, funds diverted through foreign ports. Dates matched events she remembered. Strikes, shortages, quiet disappearances. My father was mapping it, she said softly. He was building a case, the Duke replied, one that would have destroyed them. Her hands clenched, and they destroyed him instead. Silence pressed in around them. Finally, she asked, why keep this house hidden? Because every safe place in London is compromised, he said. This one was built for discretion. No servants, no records, no name. And your men? She asked. The one last night. A handful, he said. All loyal, all ghosts. She looked at him sharply. You planned for war. I planned for survival, he corrected. She exhaled slowly, trying to steady herself. What happens now? She asked. We move carefully, he said. These documents are powerful, but power without timing is a death sentence. And me? She asked. He met her gaze. You are the key and the target. A knock sounded sharp, urgent. Both of them froze. The Duke moved first, already armed. A young man entered quickly, shutting the door behind him. They're closer than we thought, he said. 2 houses down. Watching. Her stomach dropped. So soon? She asked. They know she's alive, the Duke said, and now they are impatient. He turned to her. We leave tonight. To where? She asked. Somewhere unexpected, he replied. Somewhere they will not dare search. Where? She pressed. He paused. My estate, he said. Her eyes widened. That's madness. They will expect that. Exactly, he said. They will expect me to hide you, not to parade you openly under my protection. She stared at him. You are either brilliant or reckless. Usually both, he replied. The decision was made swiftly. By dusk, the house was cleared. Papers packed, fire extinguished, tracks erased. The Duke handed her a simple dress, plain and unremarkable. You will not be yourself tonight, he said. Who will I be? She asked. He met her eyes. No one important. They traveled not by carriage, but by train, crowded, loud, anonymous. He stayed close but never touched her, his presence steady and watchful. At Raventire Estate, lights blazed openly. Servants moved freely. No secrecy, no hiding. As she stepped inside, whispers followed her. Who is she? A cousin? A guest? The Duke's voice cut through all. She is under my protection. The words settled like law. Later that night, alone in the guest chamber, she sat at the desk and opened the leather-bound book from the envelope. Inside, her father's handwriting filled every page. If you're reading this, it began, then I am gone. Tears blurred the ink. Trust the Duke, it continued. I did. She closed the book, pressing it to her chest. For the first time, her hatred cracked. Down the corridor, the Duke stood watch, unaware that the past he had carried alone for years was finally being shared. And outside the estate gates, unseen eyes waited patiently. The game had begun. Raventire Estate did not sleep. Even in the deepest hours of night, the house breathed with quiet movement. Footsteps of guards changing shifts, the soft murmur of servants in distant corridors, the low crackle of fireplaces kept alive against the cold. From the guest chamber window, she could see the estate grounds stretching endlessly into darkness, lanterns placed at careful intervals like watchful eyes. She did not sleep. Her father's book lay open on the desk, pages weighted by her trembling hand. Every line felt like a conversation interrupted years too late. His thoughts, his fears, his faith in the one man she had spent years blaming. Trust the Duke. She closed the book slowly. A knock sounded at the door. She stiffened. Yes. The Duke entered without ceremony, dressed in dark trousers and a white shirt, his coat discarded. He looked less like a political force and more like a man who had not rested in days. You should not leave your light on, he said. It makes you visible. She gestured to the open book. I doubt darkness would help tonight. He noticed the journal immediately. You read it. I had to. He nodded once, accepting the quiet accusation in her eyes. They will not attack here, he said. Not yet. That is not comforting, she replied. It is strategic, he corrected. They're deciding whether removing you is worth exposing themselves. She stood. Then why keep me here at all? Why not send me far away? Because running confirms guilt, he said, and because I need you close. The honesty startled her. For protection, she asked. For courage, he replied. She studied him carefully. You don't seem like a man who lacks it. I am, he said quietly. I just learned how to hide it. Silence stretched between them, heavy but not hostile. Your staff, she said at last. Do they know? They know only that you are important to me, he said. That is enough. She looked away, uneasy. You are not a prisoner here, he continued. But you are a target. Until this ends, your freedom is limited. She met his gaze. I understand. He turned to leave, then paused. Tomorrow, you will dine with me. That sounds less like strategy and more like scandal, she replied. He allowed himself a faint, humorless smile. Let them whisper. It will distract them. The next evening, the great dining hall was filled. Guests arrived under the pretense of a casual gathering. Politicians, nobles, allies, and enemies woven seamlessly together. She entered on the Duke's arm, her posture straight, her expression composed. Whispers followed immediately. Who is she? Another conquest? Bold, bringing her so openly. She felt every gaze like a blade, but the Duke's arm remained steady, grounding her. Throughout dinner, she observed quietly. Who watched too closely? Who avoided her eyes? Who leaned in when her name was spoken? One man stood out. Lord Howick. He smiled too easily, spoke too carefully, and when his eyes met hers, there was recognition. Fear flickered there. Later, as music filled the hall, Howick approached them. My Duke, he said smoothly, you surprise us. I find honesty refreshing, the Duke replied. This is my guest. Howick turned to her. A pleasure. She returned the smile politely. I doubt that. His expression faltered, just for a moment. As he walked away, the Duke leaned closer. You noticed? Yes, she said. He knows me. He knows your father, the Duke replied. And what he stole. Her pulse quickened. Then he's involved. Deeply, the Duke said. And careless. The evening ended without incident, but tension lingered like smoke. Later in the study, the Duke spread papers across the desk once more. Howick will move, he said. Tonight or tomorrow. And we let him? She asked. We watch, he replied. And we follow. She hesitated. You're using me as bait. Yes, he said honestly, but never unprotected. She met his gaze, fear and resolve colliding within her. Then don't fail. I won't, he said. Not again. Outside, thunder rolled softly in the distance. And somewhere beyond the estate walls, plans were already unfolding. The Duke knew something was wrong the moment his messenger failed to arrive. By mid-morning, the estate felt subtly altered, too quiet, too still, as though the world were holding its breath. She noticed it too. The servants are nervous, she said, standing beside the window in the Duke's study. They are pretending not to be. They were followed, the Duke replied. Howick wants to know how close he can get. And how far you will go, she added. He glanced at her, approving. You are learning quickly. A sharp knock interrupted them. The door opened to reveal Thomas, one of the Duke's most trusted men. His face was pale. Howick has gone to the council, he said. He filed a formal accusation. Claims you are sheltering evidence of treason. Her breath caught. That's bold, the Duke said coolly. He wants to force your hand, she said. If you appear defensive, he wins. The Duke nodded, which means we do the opposite. By noon, word had spread across London. The Duke of Ravensshire was harboring a mysterious woman tied to a scandal long thought buried. Curiosity burned hotter than suspicion, exactly as he intended. That afternoon, the Duke announced a public appearance. She stared at him. You are inviting them in. Yes, he said, into the light. The carriage rolled through the city openly, escorted by guards. She sat beside him, spine straight, hands steady despite the pounding of her heart. At the council chamber, Howick was waiting. Your Grace, Howick said, voice smooth but eyes sharp. You bring quite the controversy with you. I bring the truth, the Duke replied. You should be concerned. The chamber filled quickly. Eyes turned toward her, curious and judgmental. Howick gestured toward her. This woman's father was accused of treason. Now she appears under your protection with no explanation. She stepped forward before the Duke could speak. My father was accused, she said clearly, because he uncovered theft committed by men who sit in this very room. Gasps rippled through the chamber. Howick laughed. An emotional accusation. She reached into her satchel and placed a ledger on the table, then explained these accounts. The Duke watched carefully. This was the moment. No retreat. Howick's smile faltered. These figures, he said slowly, prove nothing. Not alone, the Duke said, which is why I have witnesses. The doors opened. Two men entered. Former clerks, faces pale but determined. Halleck stepped back. This is absurd. Is it? The Duke replied coldly. You moved too soon. Guards shifted uneasily. Whispers turned sharp. Halleck's gaze snapped to her, hatred burning through his composure. In that moment, she knew this was only the beginning. That night, back at the estate, the Duke poured her a glass of wine. You were remarkable, he said. I was terrified, she replied. Bravery often is, he said. They stood close, the space between them charged with something new, respect, trust, and something more dangerous. They will strike back, she said quietly. Yes, he agreed. Harder. She met his gaze. Then we finish this. Outside, the city whispered, and somewhere in the dark, Halleck planned his revenge. The retaliation came faster than expected. By the next morning, the city awoke to rumors sharpened into weapons. Pamphlets appeared on street corners, their ink still wet, accusing the Duke of Ravenshire of sedition, of manipulating an innocent woman to advance his own ambitions. Her name was never printed, but her presence was described in enough detail that anyone paying attention could identify her. She is being erased, she said quietly, holding one of the pamphlets in her hands. Turn into a symbol instead of a person. The Duke stood across the room, arms crossed, his expression unreadable. That is how they survive, by controlling the story. And you? She asked. What do they say about you? He took the pamphlet from her and tore it cleanly in half. They say I have finally overreached. She watched him closely. Have you? He met her gaze. Yes. The admission surprised her. But some truths are worth the fall, he continued. If this ends my career, so be it. Before she could respond, Thomas entered hurriedly. They are moving funds, he said, quietly. Halleck and two others, preparing to flee. Her heart raced. Then we act now. The Duke nodded. Tonight. The plan was dangerous, even reckless. They would confront Halleck not in public, but in private, where power shifted more easily and mistakes could not be hidden behind procedure. By dusk, the estate was sealed. Only a handful of loyal men remained. She changed into a dark cloak, her movements steady despite the fear tightening her chest. You do not have to come, the Duke said. I do, she replied. This is my father's fight too. His jaw tightened, but he did not argue. They arrived at Halleck's townhouse under cover of darkness. Music spilled from inside, laughter, wine, the illusion of normalcy. Guards stood at the entrance, but they stepped aside when the Duke approached. His reputation still carried weight. Inside, Halleck froze when he saw them. You, he said sharply, his gaze flicking to her. You should be hiding. Running no longer suits me, she replied. The Duke wasted no time. Your accounts are exposed. Your allies are abandoning you. You can confess now or be dragged before the crown. Halleck laughed, but it was thin, brittle. You think the crown will side with you? You are one man. I am not, the Duke said, and neither is she. Halleck's smile vanished. His eyes hardened. You have no idea what you've stepped into, he said. This network predates both of you. Then it's time it ended, she said. Halleck reached for his glass, his hand shaking slightly. You cannot win. Even if I fall, others remain. Perhaps, the Duke said, but tonight you answer. Halleck lunged. Chaos erupted. A shot rang out. Glass shattered. She stumbled back as guards rushed in. The Duke moved instantly, pulling her behind him. Halleck fell to the floor, wounded but alive, his escape cut short. When the authorities arrived, summoned by the Duke hours earlier, the evidence was already laid out. Accounts, letters, witnesses waiting in shadow. Halleck was taken away, shouting accusations that echoed hollowly through the hall. As the doors closed behind him, silence settled. Outside, the first light of dawn crept across the city. Back at the estate, exhaustion finally claimed her. She sat heavily in a chair, head in her hands. It's not over, she said. No, the Duke agreed, but it has begun to end. She looked up at him. What will happen to you? He considered the question carefully. I will be judged, perhaps condemned. And you accept that? Yes, he said simply. Because your father deserves justice. And so do you. Emotion rose unexpectedly, tightening her throat. You carried this alone for so long. So did you, he replied. For a moment, the walls between them fell away. Not Duke and protected guest. Not strategist and key. Just two people bound by loss and resolve. The city would soon learn the truth, and it would demand a price. The city did not explode with outrage. It simmered. Trials moved slowly, as they always did when powerful names were involved. Lord Halwick's arrest sent shockwaves through the council, but the deeper network resisted exposure, retreating into silence and procedure. Doors closed. Statements were delayed. Evidence was misplaced. Still, something had changed. Fear had shifted sides. From the windows of Raven's higher estate, she watched the newspapers arrive each morning. Their headlines cautious but unmistakable. Words like investigation, irregularities, and pending inquiry appeared more frequently now. Not victory, but movement. The Duke stood beside her, hands clasped behind his back. "They're testing how much I will reveal," he said. "And how much you are willing to lose," she replied. He looked at her then, not as a protector or a strategist, but as an equal. "I already lost what mattered most years ago. Everything else is negotiable." She nodded slowly. That afternoon, a summons arrived. Royal seal, heavy parchment. She read it once, then again. "They want you to appear before the crown." "Yes," the Duke said. "And you?" Her heart tightened. "Me? You are the witness they cannot dismiss," he said, "and the risk they cannot ignore." Silence filled the room. "Will you go?" he asked. She thought of her father's handwriting, of the envelope she had never opened until now, of years spent in quiet grief, believing the wrong story. "Yes," she said, "I will." The chamber was smaller than she expected, less grand, more deliberate. Power did not need spectacle. The Duke spoke first, calm and precise, laying out the chain of events, the evidence recovered, the witnesses secured. Then it was her turn. She spoke clearly, about her father's work, about the threats, about the night he died and the truth buried with him. The room listened. Not all believed her, but enough did. When it ended, they were dismissed without verdict or promise. Outside, the Duke exhaled slowly, as if releasing years of restraint. "Whatever happens next," he said, "you are free." She stopped walking. "Free to do what?" she asked. "To leave," he replied. "To start again, away from this." She studied his face. For the first time, she saw uncertainty there. "And you?" she asked. "I stay," he said. "Someone must see this through." She nodded once. That evening, she packed quietly. The estate felt different now. Less like a refuge, more like a crossroads. When she descended the stairs, the Duke was waiting. "You don't have to go tonight," he said. "I know," she replied. "That's why I must." They stood close, the air between them heavy with everything unsaid. "You believe me," he said finally. "I did," she replied. And that changed everything. He took her hand, not as command, not as protection, but as farewell. "When this is over," he said, "if you wish to return." She smiled softly. "Then perhaps I will choose to." The carriage waited outside, door open. This time, she stepped in knowing exactly where she was going. Behind her, the Duke of Ravensshire turned back toward the fight ahead. And ahead of her, the road stretched forward, not away from the past, but beyond it. The carriage carried her away from Ravensshire estate, just as dawn began to pale the sky. Mist clung to the fields, blurring the edges of the world, as if the land itself wished to soften the moment of departure. She sat upright, hands folded in her lap, eyes fixed on the narrow window, watching the estate gates disappear behind a curve in the road. For the first time in weeks, she was alone. The absence of danger felt strange, almost hollow. No guards flanking the carriage, no whispered plans, no urgent footsteps in the corridor outside her room. Yet the quiet did not bring peace. It brought space for memory, doubt, and decision. Her father's leather-bound book rested in her satchel. She had taken it with the Duke's blessing, though she suspected he would have given it even without being asked. Some truths belong to blood, not to crowns or councils. The carriage stopped briefly at a way station by mid-morning. She stepped down, stretching stiff legs, and accepted a cup of tea from a silent attendant. As she drank, she noticed the way people looked at her, not with recognition, but with curiosity. She was at last anonymous. That anonymity frightened her more than danger ever had. When the journey resumed, her thoughts returned relentlessly to the Duke, to the way he had stood before the crown without flinching, to the cost he was prepared to pay for a truth that would likely never reward him. "You are free," he had said, but freedom, she was learning, was not the absence of obligation. It was the choice of purpose. By evening, she reached a modest coastal town, far enough from London to breathe differently, close enough to return if needed. She secured a room at a small inn overlooking the harbor. The sea stretched wide and restless, mirroring the uncertainty in her chest. That night, she opened her father's book again. Between ledgers and coded notes, she found a section she had overlooked before. Personal reflections, written not for evidence, but for understanding. "Power fears light," he had written, but it fears memory more. She closed the book slowly. The next morning, she made inquiries. Quiet ones. She asked about ships, trade routes, and men who moved goods without asking questions. The innkeeper answered cautiously, but she sensed she was not the first to ask such things. Corruption left familiar trails. Within days, she had a name: Elias Morcant, a merchant with a reputation for neutrality. He sold to anyone, spoke to no one, and remembered everything. She requested a meeting under the pretense of business. Morcant proved to be older than she expected, his hair silvered, his eyes sharp. He listened more than he spoke. "You carry trouble with you," he said after she finished her careful introduction. "I carry truth," she replied, "and the means to protect it." She placed one of her father's documents on the table, just enough to be convincing, not enough to be dangerous. Morcant studied it briefly, then pushed it back. "You should not show this lightly." "I don't intend to," she said. "I intend to move it." "Where?" he asked. "Where it cannot be buried," she replied. "Beyond the reach of any single crown." Morcant leaned back, considering her. "You speak like someone who has already lost." "I have," she said simply. After a long moment, he nodded. "I may know ships that do not ask why." Over the following weeks, she worked quietly, carefully. She copied documents by hand, memorizing patterns, cross-checking figures. She learned more about trade and influence in a month than she had in her entire life before. And through it all, she maintained distance. No letters, no messages. Not to the Duke. Not yet. In London, the Duke faced his own reckoning. The council delayed, debated, and maneuvered, but pressure mounted. Halwick's allies fractured under scrutiny. Witnesses spoke more freely now, emboldened by the knowledge that silence no longer guaranteed safety. The Duke stood firm, though the cost was evident. Invitations ceased. Support thinned. His name, once synonymous with power, became synonymous with risk. Still, he pressed on. When the first foreign inquiry arrived, questions from beyond England's borders, he allowed himself a rare moment of satisfaction. The truth was moving. One evening, a sealed letter arrived at Ravensshire Estate. No crest, no signature, only a simple line written in familiar hand. Memory travels faster than fear. The Duke read it twice. Then he smiled. Back at the coast, she watched a ship depart under a pale sky, its sails catching the wind. A copy of her father's work lay secured below deck, bound for hands that would not easily be silenced. She knew this was not the end. Not for her, not for the Duke, not for the truth they had unearthed. But it was something just as important. Momentum. As she turned back toward the town, a sense of resolve settled within her. She was no longer running from the past. She was carrying it forward.